Go for it.
All right. So we just saw Avengers Infinity War. Definitely something to talk about. A lot of things to talk about.
Spoilers.
So
Spoilers.
spoilers alert for
Yeah.
sure. We're gonna go in. We're gonna go in really hard. We're gonna go in deep. This movie has a lot of things to talk about, but we're gonna try to get this up. So as we said, we have a movie review, and we're just gonna do it based off certain aspects. I'm going to be talking about the story and plot aspect. Scott's going to be talking about action, and OC's going to be talking about character. So let's get this thing started, and let's talk about the story. Story, basically, pretty simple. Thanos, is powerful individual. He just basically wants to save the universe by getting the Infinity Stones with his belief that if half the population is gone, the other half will have more resources to eat or more resources to survive, basically. So through the whole story, we just see the characters interact with Thanos and go through him fighting Infinity Stones. And as we end through this story, we see his relationship with Gamora. We kind of see a smaller relationship with little things with Tony. Not that Tony's a big character, but he has sort of a relation with Tony. And it kind of ends with the biggest thing where Thanos does, at the end of the day, wins his thing, believes the characters in a place where some of the characters, some of the Avengers are gone. And the ones who are actually there are, funny enough, the original Avengers from the first movie. So those ones are still there. But some of them, like Spider-Man, if you love Spider-Man or Black Panther, they're all just gone. So it leaves us there. But as for plot wise, which is interesting, we're left with some few plot points. As for starters, Doctor Strange saying that Tony, the alternative, he's seen different realities, and this reality that they're in with the Avengers is with people, half the population of the universe disappeared. That one being the perfect alternative for them to win. And other smaller plot points where Miss Marvel is going to play a different, important role later on as Nick Fury, who ends up disappearing as well. So,
Yeah.
and Red Skull, who we all thought was destroyed in Captain America, he plays another role in this movie as Thanos was trying to get the Soul Stone, and I feel as that was going to be a big plot point. So overall, the story and plot, it is your basic, bad guy wants to take over or do something with the universe. Villains have to save them. But what makes it more interesting and what makes it different from all the other giant end of the world catastrophes is that you have a character or you have a villain who has an interesting goal and has more strong motive in the goal. And the cliffhanger leaves us wondering whether or not is it really over for the Avengers or is there still light of hope? So that's where story and plot goes.
So overall, like as a ranking, how you thought of it, like how much
Uh,
did you like the story and plots?
Overall, I felt like story and plot was kind of expected.
Mm-hmm.
If you've seen the typical story and plots, you definitely know what you're getting into it. I won't rank it like an 8 or a 9 or a 10 or whatever, but I will say that if you've watched these movies before, you definitely will enjoy it, and there's definitely something to watch out it. And again, Thanos, him being the most one who's driving the plot, he's definitely an interesting character where it separates it from being the stereotype of like, oh, bad guy wants to destroy a universe. We all have to do something to stop him. So that's the thing that I would say that saves the
Yeah.
story and plot,
I
being
mean,
those things.
when you say predictable, for me personally, when I was watching that ending, that was far from predictable. Like,
Well, no, that's not plot wise. I'm saying now, obviously, ending for sure. How it's executed is different. But what I mean in terms of the whole like goal and objective, like this is sort of like it's almost like what's the big way? There's a term inside film where it's like monster in the house or something like that, where it's like basically every film that has to deal with there's a monster. Um, we have to learn basically the whole point of the whole film is how they defeat the monster. That's what I mean in terms of the plot, where it's
okay,
like there's this
okay.
big thing we have to go figure out how we can defeat it. So that's what I mean by predictable in terms of that. But obviously, yeah, with the ending, with the twists of stuff, it's definitely it's not a predictable. I guess we can argue the ending of this story is not predictable, or at least the characters that we see who get destroyed are not predictable. I would say.
For sure. All right, I'll see. So let's go into character moments.
Character moments. I thought that this movie did a very good job giving what the task was because this was definitely a crowded movie for
Yeah,
sure.
for
There
sure.
were a lot of different characters that the directors had to figure out how to work together, and I think they did a good job. They focused primarily on the character of Thanos, which was a smart thing to do because he
Mhm.
is the main constant in this story as the villain. So they did a good job developing his character, and we talked a lot about that in another video. If you guys want to check that out, they did a very good job with that. And then beyond that, they also have a lot of good character interactions amongst the other Avengers. You have specifically Tony and Peter. Their interaction was very good. It built up off of the Civil War and Spider-Man Homecoming relationship that we've already seen, as far as that like father-son relationship, and that I'm sure it's gonna carry on past this film. And then also the comedic moments of seeing everybody else interact with each other, especially Iron Man with Peter Quill. That was really funny. I was actually kind of surprised at how well Peter Quill was able to interact with everybody else. I was kind of worried about it going in, but I had no reason to be. They did a very good job.
Yeah,
It worked.
Thor and
Yeah.
Star Lord too.
Thor and Star-Lord, yeah, that was a funny one. That was a funny one. And then Thor and Rocket, how he would always call him Rabbit. They had all of these they would have all of these good moments among different characters. I will say that the other characters were all kind of like nobody really, as far as like a character moment, they all nobody was really had any focus put on them because all the focus was kind of put onto Thanos. And we kind of don't really need the focus to be on those characters because we've already seen them so many times.
Yeah,
So it wasn't necessary. I will say that you can't really fully appreciate this movie on its own. You have to have some background knowledge of the Marvel Universe in order to
Mhm.
go into this movie and appreciate the characters.
Mhm.
That being said, the movie did a good job with what it was given.
definitely, definitely. I agree fully. That's pretty much what I thought in terms of like the whole like character aspect of the movie. Um,
Yeah,
I mean, for me personally, I wish they had like more involved moments between all the characters, but I can understand why they couldn't do that, you know, because it was such a high task for all the characters to get that much of a moment. But if you were to give certain characters, like sort of like which ones got more moments, I would say Thor got a good amount of moments. Um, Iron Man as well. I feel like those two got like more moments in my head than a lot of the other characters did. Just
Mhm.
like more pivotal moments, I suppose. Okay, so for my part, we're doing action. We made another video about like the top 5 action scenes we personally think are in the movie. But action overall, like the Russo brothers, pretty much always deliver in terms of action. Their style of action is always like hard impact and it's fun to watch. It's just like it has a good flow to it. That's what this movie had overall throughout all the action scenes. So in terms of action, this movie was just like great.
Yeah, there's a lot of action. The movie begins with action. It's just like you're never really bored. That's all I can say about this movie. You're never really bored. The only thing that can make you stall out is the fact that it's a long movie. But other than that, once you get used to that, you're just never bored. So
Yeah, I would agree. I think the action in this movie was definitely done very well. The Russo brothers did a good job. We saw what they did with the Captain America movies and the action that was in those movies. And I think that they were able to bring those sensibilities to this movie in a way that was that it made it work. It made it work together, especially with the increased use of CGI and the characters. They were still able to get that coordinated fight choreography to look like very clean and hard
Yeah.
hitting, like you were saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously, check out our other video about the top 5 action sequences because we we're we're talking in a very underwhelmed sense right now, but we really love them because we literally just talked about them earlier. So in that video, we showed our enthusiasm for sure. Like especially like to me as in a general sense for the movie, this movie has done like action things or just like this were very fresh and unique. Like I've never seen them in any other movies, especially with the magic aspect, whole portals coming out of everywhere. Like I've never seen that before in a movie. So in my opinion, they've done something very unique and it's worth checking out again, like over and over again. I'm gonna definitely watch it again.
me too.
Agreed. Agreed that